Hey everybody, what is going on? Happy Monday. If you're home, if you're holed up in your house today because of the snow day, we have a little special treat for you because, we're all hoping for an early spring. And who better to predict that than the one and only Punxsutawney Phil. So with us right now, all the way from Punxsutawney, it is AJ Dereume, Punxsutawney's Phil handler. How are you guys doing today? You've been busy.
Yeah, we're great. Phil's hanging in there. He just got off his second nationwide school appearance. Normally we go and do, in the old days, we'd go to a school and we'd do an assembly at a school. Then we'd go to another school and do another assembly. Well, now in the corona times, we can do 100 schools at once, which we just did. So he just came off of that, and now we're coming here to see you guys.
That's amazing. I'm letting some more folks hop into this before we dive into all the crazy meat and potatoes about how you got to be Phil's handler, what he's up to in his downtime, and what he thinks about maybe some of the negative feedback he gets from official meteorologists.
Yeah.
So we'll tackle all of that and more. But first off, I think AJ Dereume, I love your last name, by the way. When you told me how to pronounce it, I kept saying Dereume. Dereume is on fire. Did you ever get that? Or is it just me?
I have got that before, yeah.
All right, just check it. So first off, you are officially Punxsutawney Phil's handler. How did you get this job?
Well, it was what I like to say is that they asked everyone in the club. There's 15 guys in the inner circle of the Groundhog Club, and when the job became available, one of the other guys was retiring from the club. They asked everybody, and they said, take a step forward, and everyone took a step back, and I was left standing there. That's the joke they like to tell. But honestly, I looked around the room and was waiting. I thought surely one of these other guys is going to raise their hand, and they didn't. And I thought to myself, if I don't raise my hand, I might never get this chance again. So I kind of always wanted to do this job. And so, yeah, I raised my hand, and they said, you think you have the time to pull this off? And I said, yeah, I think I could do it. So, yeah, ever since Phil and I have been buddies. We were, like all handlers, we had it took us a little while to get used to each other. It's important that you build a rapport with Phil, and he doesn't take on to, he takes a while to warm up to you. But once he does, as you can see, he's just about sleeping in my arms right now. So
I know it looks like he's checked out, but he's also been on his world tour today. We get it. Everybody from all sorts of media outlets have been contacting you guys. Mm-hmm. Before we dive into what are some of the big changes for Groundhog Day that we can expect, a number of people are weighing in on our Facebook page already, and I have to ask you this as well because you don't have gloves on. Does Phil bite?
He does bite. The important thing, if you are a groundhog handler, is that you kind of have to learn what to expect from them, and they learn what to expect from you. So they're used to the way you hold them. He likes to be held just like this. This is how he wants to be in your arms. If I change from that, he starts to squirm around a little bit, but he's pretty comfortable like this. So he knows that he's safe there. And that's what, people will often say, like when you're on stage at Groundhog Day, why doesn't Phil jump out of your hands? Well, that's the safest place that he knows other than his burrow. So
all right. I love that. You mentioned AJ, by the way, Groundhog Day in general. When we think of those sites, the world always watches Punxsutawney on Groundhog Day. It is one big party that starts the day before, the weekend before, with people coming in to that part of Pennsylvania. Describe what has changed and what is totally different this year. How is it going to operate? Because normally we see all these people and all of these crowds and all these parties. So what has changed?
Well, we're going from 40,000 to 15, basically.
15 people.
15 people, and they'll be the 15 guys that are in the inner circle with the top hats on, plus Phil. So that makes 16 of us. There'll be a couple other dignitaries up there, and the media will be here, but that'll be it. And we had to make the decision early on. We tried to field what we thought was going to be the protocol in Pennsylvania on February 2nd, but we had to start thinking about it last September. So we had to make the responsible decision that we made, and just have everybody, stay home and be safe this year. We hated to do it. We miss everybody. And I mean, that our fans, Phil's fans, I should say, make Groundhog Day what it is. So we are sad to miss everybody, but it is definitely, for the greater good. and we're happy to lend a part. I will tell you, there is only 2 other times in the history, our 135-year history here in Punxsutawney, that we did not have Groundhog Day, and that was the 2 years 2 years after the start of, or the start of the United States involvement in World War II. And once again, they just didn't feel it was responsible to do back then. So pretty historic event this year for sure, for everybody, for all across the world and all the different things that have been canceled.
Yeah, definitely. So twice you mentioned Groundhog Day did not happen. And once again, the year was?
It was 1940 something, right around World War II. And it was a direct result of that.
And then of course, everything with the pandemic now, you're dealing with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are again. You know, by the way, for folks who just hopped onto this, we're hanging out with AJ Dereume. He is Punxsutawney Phil's handler. He's a busy guy, going to be crazy busy tomorrow on Groundhog Day. I guess the big question is, you talked about being a member of the inner circle, and there's going to be 15 of you who are part of the inner circle as part of Groundhog Day on Tuesday, not the usual 40,000 people. So how do you get to be in the inner circle? Like, I don't know, like, what do they jump you in, or like, what happens with it?
So the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club, anyone in the world can join, and there are tens of thousands of members. The inner circle of the Groundhog Club is kind of like the board of directors of the holiday. That's us up there on the stage right there that you can see. And basically, it's a group, it's an old club in our hometown, and we elect from within. So if you're a member of the Punxsutawney community, and we like to say, if you're kind of standing on the sidelines already and going through the motions, you already have a huge love for Groundhog Day, and we think that you can fill a void or a need in we're a 100% self-funded organization. We're a charitable organization, and so we actually have to pay to put Groundhog Day on. So we raise money throughout the year and do things. So if we find a member of the community that we feel will add to that, that's how that person gets in.
All right, interesting. And by the way, obviously, as AJ Dereume, he is Punxsutawney Phil's handler. He mentioned moments ago, if you hopped onto this Facebook Live video late, because of everything surrounding the pandemic, they are going from a big party of 40,000 people only to 15 people spaced out all over the stage, all part of the inner circle that are actually part of Punxsutawney Phil's event. So I guess the question for folks who want to enjoy the festivities tomorrow from a virtual standpoint, what can they expect? Like, what time should people be dialed into their computers to see all of the activity unfold, even though it's fewer people?
Well, we actually created a special, like a pre-filmed special that will air leading up to Groundhog Day. Now, normally on Gobbler's Knob, if you came here for Groundhog Day, at 3 a.m. our gates open, and you would run down and try to get your spot in the viewing area where you thought you wanted to be, and then there's entertainment on the stage leading up to the event. This year, obviously, that isn't happening, so we kind of put together a highlight video with some history and some interesting stuff. They did a really good job on it, and it, like I said, goes on at 6:30. And then we go live. That will transition right into the live event, pretty much seamlessly as it's designed to do. It will transition into the live event, which starts probably around 6:15 in the morning. But you can get into that. You can log on to that through Facebook Live, YouTube Live. It's on our website, and also PCN will be broadcasting it for anyone in Pennsylvania. Or I guess you could probably get on PCN online. But anyway, it'll be out there. And if for some reason something crashes, jump to the next one, because I don't doubt that there'll be quite a large lot of logging onto that.
Yeah, no question. What specific Facebook page should people be looking for? Because I know there's Punxsutawney Phil fan clubs and all sorts of stuff. So where do you go for the legit party?
You need to go to our official page, which I believe is Punxsutawney Phil. It might be the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club. I actually should know that, and I don't.
It's all right. We'll just tell people, Google it and look for AJ Dereume. Great questions coming in right now through Facebook, and I know you can answer this. How old is Punxsutawney Phil that you're holding, and how much does he weigh?
Well, his weight gains as the day goes on, at least judging from my arms. He weighs about 10 pounds plus or minus. He loses about a third of his body weight throughout the year, and then throughout the winter, and then gains it back in the summer, because he's typically hibernating, or in Phil's case, just sort of taking it real easy in the wintertime. And his age, well, Punxsutawney Phil is at least 135 years old in Punxsutawney. This is Phil.
He looks really great for 135 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. AJ, some other questions people were asking as well. Is there a pinpoint time that you actually make the call if he sees his shadow and if he doesn't?
It's at sunrise. It's or right about sunrise. It does coordinate a little bit with the hard news break with the networks, if you're familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
As it, that just makes sense. But yeah, it's right around 7:20 to 7:25, somewhere in that window. That's when he makes his prediction. Now, you said when we make the call as to whether or not he's seen his shadow or not. We don't make that call. He makes that call. And once he has made it, what happens is the president of the Groundhog Club interprets. He listens to Phil. You'll see that happen on the stump. He will actually listen to Phil. Phil will communicate to him in Groundhogese. That's our president right there, Jeff Lundy. Phil will communicate to him in Groundhogese whether or not he has seen his shadow. And then the president will direct our vice president to read the proper prognostication of the proper scroll.
All right, let's give people a little bit of history, because if my memory serves me correct, and as we were discussing earlier, in 2020 and in 2019, he had back-to-back predictions that were historic. Describe those and ultimately what it means if he sees his shadow or if he doesn't, because I think people are always confused every year.
So if he sees his shadow, that means there will be 6 more weeks of winter. If he does not see a shadow, that means spring is right around the corner. And so we had 2 no shadows back to back, which is a first in Punxsutawney. Winter is by far, shadow is by far, and I don't know the exact percentages, but more than 50% of the time it is a winter prediction. So spring one is rare, and back to back had never been seen before.
And obviously some other great questions. How do you respond as Phil's BFF, his friend, when people say he lies every year and, quote, as Diane said, shoot the groundhog?
Well, first of all, we take great offense to that, and we'll just have to cover Phil's poor little ears. Yeah, we love Phil very much. Now, what you have to understand, Diane, Phil is 100% accurate 100% of the time. He has never been wrong. He has never had a wrong prediction. But there is a disconnect there. Remember, I talked about how the president listens to Phil and interprets Phil's groundhogese, and then directs our vice president as to which scroll to read. Well, the president's ability to interpret groundhogese has had its pluses and minuses and its ups and downs over the years. This year especially, we have a new president, Jeff Lundy. He's our former vice president. He has had basically a crash course on his groundhogese, and as you can imagine, with the remote learning and not having or being able to meet with the elders and really learn the language well, it could be a crapshoot this year. We really don't know.
I love that. And by the way, I'm watching Phil as you're speaking, as I'm listening to you, and he's slowly dozing off. Like, what time do you guys start your media blitz today before Groundhog Day?
We started about 7 o'clock this morning, but with Phil, he's heard it all before. He's like, you can really tell this story again. He's heard it a million times. And he is, this is nap season. Like I said, this is hibernation season. So yeah, he's a little bit lethargic. Looking for his afternoon cat nap.
Yeah, you could definitely see some people chiming in saying he fell asleep. Now, of course, some other questions regarding what he eats and what his fur feels like. So let's talk. So from Chris Kim, they asked the question, what does Phil like to eat as a treat?
Well, he's an herbivore. So vegetables and fruit. In the wild, he would eat a lot of grasses and things. In captivity, his main source in his diet is kale. That's kind of the staple in his diet. And as far as a treat goes, his favorite treat is without a doubt a banana, which is weird because their groundhogs are indigenous to North America, where obviously bananas grow in the wild. But we have found in captivity that Phil and Phyllis, no matter what you put in their bowl, that's the first thing they go to. Could be the sugar, I don't know, but they love bananas.
All right, and watching you hold him now, another question from Carolyn Ann. She asked, what does his fur feel like? Would you describe it as soft or is it coarse?
It's I would say both. Like if you think like a beagle, like a beagle dog or a Labrador Retriever, it's kind of it's got a smooth but wiry feel to it. And he has an outer layer of fur which is like a guard hair that is waterproof and the dirt doesn't really stick to it, and then an inner layer that he sheds once a year, which is like a cottony undercoat. I can probably show you guys if you'd like to see. Okay. But yeah, there's a cottony undercoat under there that he will shed. I'm just giving everybody a little close up there.
We love the money shots, and I'm sure tomorrow is going to be quite a long day for you as well. I mean, where does Phil kind of camp out during the year? What types of accommodations does he have when he's not at Gobbler's Knob?
Well, he actually lives throughout the year in a zoo in the corner of our library in town. It is we're actually a regulated zoo. We have a license. I'm not a zoologist, but I am a zookeeper, and Phil lives in there with Phyllis. It's temperature controlled, and so they're able to stay cozy. It's kind of like a natural environment, and that's where he lives throughout the year. Now, he doesn't live in the stump. There's actually a secret passageway of different catacombs and stuff that go from the zoo up to the stump, and we can put him right up in from underneath. There's a couple secret, other passages in case we get followed by the media. We can throw them off and then make our way to Gobbler's Knob and get him in there, right?
Just in case the paparazzi rolls up.
Right.
Yeah, totally get it. He can only take so much fanfare.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. All right. So really quick, what is your message, AJ, as Punxsutawney's Phil's handler, to meteorologists, including our own Joe Snedeker, who thinks the rodent really doesn't know what he's doing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I had heard that Joe was not a true believer in Phil. And, I guess I can understand the jealousy, Joe, when you're not, when you aren't 100% accurate. It's easy to be jealous of a meteorologist that is. How about it, Phil? 100% of the time.
I love it. All right. Any other fun facts about Phil that you think people need to know about that they don't know? I know you talked about where he lives throughout the year, but maybe just how he gears up for the big event. I mean, does he have a hair and makeup crew? Do you have to fluff him up or give him a bath before it's showtime?
I don't know. For some people out there that follow Punxsy Phil, they would see that we have been releasing some Phil art over the last year or so. And what happens, we put some paint down, Phil steps in it and walks on these canvases and makes Phil paintings that we put out there for the public. And so he does get a bath after that. It's like my least favorite of all the fundraisers that we do, because giving Phil a bath is kind of like giving if you think about, dropping a running circular saw into a sink and trying to clean it. It's difficult. But in all honesty, he doesn't mind it. He doesn't mind the water at all. But he does get a bath every time we do that. And I do have to trim his nails sometimes because they do grow and they're hard on the handler's hands. You can see you got some scratches on them now.
So it's super important, obviously, for him to get a mani and a pedi before it's showtime.
Yeah.
All right. So as we mentioned, in 2019 and 2020, if I have this right, he predicted an early spring, correct?
Yes.
Can we put in a request to Phil to try to make that happen again? Because it's snowing all week, it feels like, and we're over.
Yeah. You guys, this is your opportunity to do what you can to influence Phil. You got this one-on-one with him, and I suggest, any words of wisdom you want to throw his way to try to, influence it. This is your chance. He doesn't listen to me, as you can imagine.
I really wanted to kind of give him a word of advice for tomorrow, but he's kind of clocked out on me. I thought I was engaging and entertaining. Phil wants nothing to do with it.
Yep, like I said, he's like, hey, AJ, I've heard this story like 7 times today.
Right. And just put into words, AJ, as a member of the inner circle, as we mentioned, AJ Dereume, Punxsutawney Phil's handler, will be on the stage tomorrow. 15 people at Gobbler's Knob versus the usual 40,000 because of the pandemic. Everything is scaled back. After 7 a.m., obviously, you said near sunrise will be the festivities and the big reveal. Did he see a shadow? Did he not? what happens, I guess, after that's all done? Is it just like wrapped up and Phil goes back into his condo?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Phil goes. He usually goes. We have a carrier that we put him on top of the stump, and normally on Groundhog Day, we would ask anyone in the crowd that wanted to come up and get their photo with him to come across the stage. And you can imagine that takes a while if you look at that crowd. But we do that. This year, Phil will talk to the media for a little bit, and then we're going to get some photos with the cardboard cutouts in attendance.
Love it. It's just adorable to see Phil in action, a close-up. We love seeing him, even though I think I put him to sleep at one point. Before I let you go, I know you have other media interviews throughout the rest of the day. Anything else you want to say to the folks in Northeastern and Central Pennsylvania, or any other tidbits about Phil that you think are important?
Well, I'll tell you what, I would throw out to them to put on their calendars to come and visit us in 2022. We welcome everyone. We hope to welcome everyone with open arms. Hopefully all this is all behind us and we're back to normal. And, just remember, and especially, let your resident meteorologist there know that it's so much more fun to believe than not. And, what better than a holiday where no one owes anybody anything other than a good time and a wink and a nod, and, look to the skies to hope for hope for better days that you're looking for. So
I love it. Well said. And you know what? Punxsutawney Phil, he put Pennsylvania on the map 135 years ago, and the world will be watching tomorrow. And hey, don't take it from me. I know I asked for an early spring, but you could see from these Facebook comments from people, they are telling him, let him see these comments. Early spring, early spring.
Yep. That's definitely been the sentiment. I can tell you that.
All right. Well, AJ Dereume, Punxsutawney's Phil Handler, thank you for your time, your insight. Good luck tomorrow. We will be tuned in. And again, slip them some bananas tonight and tell them early spring, for real.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, AJ. Again, appreciate your time. And everybody else for logging on. Take care.
Happy Groundhog Day.